Hey traders, this is Taylor with Top Pick Trading. I want to give you guys a chart review today since it was such a bullish trend day. Figured I'd do it on Tuesday instead of the normal Wednesday. So you can see I think CPI came out at 8:30 Eastern and we rallied very strongly. Folded over into this pretty strong spiking channel with a couple trends in between. Went sideways and then we got the retest on that on this uptrend here. So we're very overbought on the daily, but you can see that doesn't prevent you from continuing to go higher anyway. So let's get started on the review. So that news came out at 8:30. I don't see anything in here. You want to be flat coming into this anyway. You can see it rallied really strongly. You wouldn't have had the spike in channel yet, but you're playing the fact that it was so bullish that you're probably going to continue higher. So we push down here, drop sideways. I don't see anything in there. It's just two sideways. Push higher. You get a second entry long that's kind of far from the EMA, and at the time, maybe it looks just like a break no extreme from this little tight trend. So I don't think you necessarily want to take that one. Then you get a failure, but it's right into the highs, and then another higher low here. It confirms this trend line if you didn't already have it, but still just so high up and far from the EMA. So pushes higher. You get a first entry, no second entry to right here, and then it's sideways and under the EMA. Chop sideways, same as before, right in here. Pushes higher. You just get a higher low, but right into the highs. Very sideways. Failure here, but sideways into the highs. And then it comes back even again. By this time, you would have had this trend line right here. And you can see we come back and we get a second entry long with this really small 6-tick bar. So I like that trade just to this high at least. And you can see it worked nicely, went a little further. And that's the first, that's a closeout sign of a new high. This yellow uptrend comes back. Maybe you would have drawn this spike in channel now. At the time, maybe it looks like this. That looks like it fits pretty nicely. Ends up being higher, I believe. Fix that. And bounces here. I don't see anything through here that I like. You can see this trend here ends up fitting pretty nicely. We come back and we get a second entry long. I marked this orange, but maybe you do want to take this one. You probably wouldn't have trusted this blue spike in channel yet, but if you trusted this trend here, you know, that's a decent little second entry line just to this high, at least, at the most, I'd say. You can see that would have worked nicely. Comes back, chops sideways, really far from the MA. Now you're definitely watching this blue spike in channel here. Chop sideways, comes back. You get this, confirms this yellow spike in channel, but I don't know if you trust it at this point still. Those are three really strong bearish bars, and it's just a first entry, but it is only 3 ticks, so, you know. I don't think you want to take that, though. Comes back. You get a failure here, but it's so sideways. Kind of a doji bar, too. Pushes up to here, comes back. Get a first entry. On it right there. Comes back here. We get this red uptrend here. First entry. Second entry, but a bad bar. We push higher again. And now you would have trusted this yellow uptrend by here, so you get this second entry long and also like a triple test. Tested it once here, twice, 3 times. It is a little aggressive because it's under the EMA and it's got a doji right before, so there's some congestion, but clearly to me this looks like 2 legs down. So maybe take a chance like that on such a bullish day overall. And we come back and get this higher low. It's a little bit sideways, but it's a really nice bar. And we're coming off this key entry point here, so we're probably going to push higher, and it does. Comes back here, just get a first entry, and then the second entry is right here with a bad bar, and we just chop sideways. You get this second entry long right here, but it's just a double test, not a triple. Kind of into the middle too, so I think you probably want to avoid that. Does work. Pushes up, breaks out, probably about a measured move. Let's see. Yep, pretty much a measured move, the small little range, and then it shoots lower really quickly. And we get a break from this downtrend, 3 legs down, pushes up. We get a failure here, but it's a bit sideways under the EMA, and also into this little resistance area. It comes back again, and you get like more of a visual failure here, but it's still kind of sideways and it's high up, so I didn't mark that one. and we just chop sideways, and we just get a first entry here and it's sideways, and then that's the close outside and new high from this blue uptrend, and we're expecting a retest on this big spiking channel at least, and probably this one as well. And then you push lower, you get a first entry long, second entry long failure. You know, the bias is so bullish that makes me mark this as slightly more aggressive, but it is a nice clear 2 legs down that fails right at the EMA, so you may take that for a small scalp. Would have worked for way more. It pushes lower, overshoots, and you just get a first entry short here. Pushes way higher, break, new high, and you just get, this is technically a second entry, but I believe this is a break and new high. I was kind of watching this variant in real time, and it looks pretty good too. It may be this, but you never really get a good second entry to take anyway. The second entry is right here, and it's below the EMA. Ends up failing, but this is after 3:30. So let's take a look at the second chart, also a 2000 tick chart, just with a different tick offset. Several more setups on this one. You can see the main trends were pretty much the same. This one ended up being a little bit wider, this big spiking channel here. I didn't see as many setups early, very sideways every time it formed. You get the second entry long right here, but this micro downtrend is pretty strong. It's below the EMA and it's a doji. It is also like a triple test, but we just popped out that bottom side, so probably want to wait on that. Comes back again, just the first entry. The bar's not that great either. Pushes higher, first entry long, bunch of first entries. Second entry long here, but sideways, and you do get a failure here, but and it's right into those highs, and it's got a little bit of a tail on top. So I think you want to avoid that. If it was lower, forming closer to the EMA with some more room, maybe you consider that one. But the other concern is this now has technically retested right here, and you don't really trust this spiking channel yet, probably. So I didn't mark anything through here. Pushes higher, strong push down. Once again, this time it's a 5 tick bar, but just the first entry, and this move down is really strong. And you wouldn't have had this yet. Pushes above the EMA, you get a first entry short, second entry short. It is a bit sideways, but I think on such a bullish day, that's a decent trade right there. Would have worked. Comes back, just a bunch of first entries, first entry long, dropping above the EMA, and then this blue uptrend gets a break, and it comes back and gives a second entry long right here with a really nice bar, also a triple test. Tested it once here, twice, 3 times. That's a great trade in my opinion. You got plenty of room to the highs. Yeah, 2.5 points. Would have worked nicely. Gets the new high, comes back and gets that same second entry as on the other chart, but this time the good signal bar is right here. Unfortunately, it doesn't trigger, but it is right at this key entry point that now is confirmed. Also at the support line, midline of the bigger channel as well. Unfortunately, it didn't trigger on this bar, so that's why I marked it aggressive. But I still think maybe you want to consider that. It does trigger on 2 bars later, and would have worked nicely. And then on this chart, instead of just a higher low like on the other chart, try to go lower once, twice. You get a failure on this chart, a little bit sideways, but perfect bar at that EMA. Expecting to push higher because of this yellow uptrend here. And it would have worked nicely. Comes back, and this is a bit of a confusing area here on this second chart. You can see we get this strong micro push down, and it just is a small break out of this golden uptrend or yellow uptrend, and you get this failure right here. All I can say is, with experience, this one I've seen this before, and you kind of want to avoid it. It looks sideways here. It just doesn't look like a failure that you want to take, and you can see it would have roped you in and ended up trapping you. And you actually get a second entry long here, but by that time it definitely looks sideways. EMA's not holding either. So we push below here, and then it actually kind of held to the lower side, and now we're just chopping in the middle. So this one's a little easier to avoid in my opinion. This one I understand if you took it because it's right back at this entry point, but what I can also say is when we get very small breaks from these big trends like this, usually the correction is going to last a little bit longer. So that could help you probably avoid that. Just 4 ticks if you did take it. So chop sideways, you get like a 3rd entry on this chart, and it's not a great bar. Pushes higher, then you get that strong push down, break, and several legs down to a new low. Bounces at this previous support. I don't think you can consider that though. It's been a very long time, and this looks more like trend action than range action already, or at this point I should say. Um, and then on this chart, we get a failed first entry short, second entry short. It does form into the high of the little micro oak trend, but at the time, you probably had it more like this. And it looks like maybe there's a little bit more room on this. If you took it maybe on a limit back here, I think that's a decent trade. Ends up being wider, in my opinion, like this. So yeah, you just kind of want to look out how high up you are, but I still think this is a decent trade on a limit order. And then it comes back again and gives you another chance, but now we're kind of getting high up, and this is like a failed third entry. So comes back yet again, gives a nice bar, confirming the trend channel, and you know, maybe you didn't trust it quite as much because it still even looked tighter at this point. But I believe it ends up being that. So you just get several first entries to a new high, and then unfortunately you get this higher low, but it's just a first entry and it's very sideways. Ends up working. You get the failure right here, but bar is really bad on this chart and it's above the EMA. Pushes strongly down. On this chart, the channel didn't really hold the one that starts from the high. So I think it's just this one, and you never really get a break into extreme from it. Maybe just right here, I guess you technically do, just a small little break into extreme. Bounces at this support area, and you get this failed second entry short. I did mark this green, but man, it's hard to take that after this strong move didn't get a retest. But you can see it was like a little failed breakout from this major support area, and you get this pretty good bar. So maybe you take a chance on that one. Still kind of risky with the other overall context, but we're still thinking probably a retest of this big trend here. So took that. I think it's okay. And then it pushes strongly to the upside. And same situation as before on the other chart. This kind of fits, but then if you draw it tighter, maybe this is the right one. And that actually on this chart actually fits a little better. So I think it is a break, new extreme here. Pushes down, and you got that micro trend there, and this looks like it's probably played out. So then it's 330. So no other setups. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Several good setups on this second chart. A few good ones on the other chart as well. But you can see the advantage of wanting to look at two charts if you want to get a few more opportunities. Just keep in mind sometimes, you know, they can also offer trades that look good and are traps, kind of like this one right here, in my opinion. With experience, you can tell this is not as good. I may try to go find an example and in a later video and show a similar situation where you want to avoid this little trade here. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and interested in learning how to trade like we do, check out our course at topictrading.com. And you guys have a good one. See you next time.